Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Just remember the checklist that every time we start the game, just make sure you go through what you're going to aim for, at least one or two of those before you start the game. And then when you go through your losses and analyze, just find out which of your checklist that you failed on, okay? So then you'll get to work for it next game, okay? If you didn't know about what the checklist is, just check out the last episode, please. And yeah, this one's about... This episode is about where you get the same material, but you have a positional advantage and how one piece can change the whole thing. And even though it's still the same material, so it just gives you an idea. And some trades as well. So it just shows you how you can have some bad trades. So for instance, if I traded here, she could come down or the pawn could come down. I'd still have the knight here, but all of a sudden I'm just giving away these squares for nothing, and I'll just giving up the center so easily. So we don't want to have that trade, so we move forward and avoid. What we could have done as well was that we could have moved forward and defended, but at the same time then they could have extended and get the positional advantage. So when our pawns move forward, we've got a bigger space. So yeah, so we've got more room to move. So we want the advantage, we want the space, because we don't want our opponents to have the space. So he's just opened up, attacking the, what is it, the C7 square? C2 square, sorry. But we're pushing forward again, defending twice. So I didn't want to fall for any tricks about losing that pawn. So we want to defend it, and plus now, if you can see, we've got a bigger advantage with space, where they've only got, not even that. So they're tied down all this little bit here. So even these squares we've got. So their position's very bad at this stage. This was a bad trade for me, because if you have a look at the bishop, so for instance, when this move here, right? So the bishop here has all this room. It's pretty strong, but how one move, a pawn move, because I said, like, when you get into the higher ranks, they do subtle blunders, and this pawn was a blunder. It was just very subtle. So it wasn't like losing material, but it was cutting off all these squares that he could have went on. So when you're progressing your pieces forward, don't block your pieces, okay? Because now this is what I shouldn't have done, because now look, if you look, my bishop would have been a monster, but now I've just gone up, and now I'm trading a bad bishop for a good bishop. So we didn't want to do that. We didn't. So next games we need to start thinking about not trading. So he's going on for there. If we take here, this will be a bad trade for us, because the reason is the bishop could come down here and then develop, and then eye down the f2 square as well. So, and that just means that they gain a tempo, they advance further out, and we'll be down. We'll be losing control of the center, because we'll only have this pawn left, and they'll have the bishop. So if they had the bishop down here, all of a sudden their game's starting to look not too bad. So we want to keep the pressure, because we've got more material out and about. So we want to make sure we do fair trades and keep the advantage. So it's up to black now. So if we can keep the pressure on with a space, then black will have to sacrifice something to get the space back. And we want them to sacrifice something, because we don't want to give something for nothing. We want to get some compensation in return if we give up the center at all. Okay, so what I'm starting to do now is starting to eye down where the knights can move, because if you can do this and get in the habit of always seeing where the knights move, we can avoid getting our queens taken and avoid the forks. So, for instance, you just want to be careful, because this square would be a good fork for the... No, not really. Anyway, we just want to avoid the forks with the knights. So it's just an idea to keep an eye out all the positions that they can take. Okay, so this one wouldn't be too bad, because we can't take with the queen. So okay, so I'm preparing to go here, and start controlling some of these squares. So you got to think about just controlling the squares. So he's done that. He's got a good square for his knight. And now my knight isn't a good knight, so I want to trade for a bad knight. So this is a good knight, and it's a bad knight. So we're happy to give away this knight and get a positional advantage. He doesn't want to do that, so this player does know that he knows some theory. So castling, he's opening up this side, so trying to open up the queen side. But he's undefended the pawn, because as soon as the knight come back, the bishop blocked that pawn, so we could take. Also, we could take here as well, and then pin down the knight. So that would have been also a really good move. So now he's moving. Can't move there, can't move there. It's really a nothing move. He's trying to get back material. But apart from getting back material like that, it's not really a good move, and it's a waste. So it's too late already. So even if he does take there, we can take here, check, and get the bishop. So he can't take our pawn. Okay, so this piece is still blocked. So he's wasting a lot of momentum. So he could have moved here first and eyed down this file. So that would have probably been a better move because the knight was defending here. But at the same time this was undefended. So he couldn't do it. But now he can do it. So he's opened it up. Okay, so we're defending here because we can tell that if the rook comes here, our defender will go. So we need to defend this piece because our only defender, the queen before, was going to be knocked off. So there we go. And now he's attacking this piece down here. So when I said in the past about retreating, there's powerful squares to retreat. This is a good square to retreat because it also defends what is being attacked. Okay. So there's also just those moves. So it's easy to find moves moving forward, not so easy to find moves going forward. Going back, sorry. So we can take here. Not take there, take there, take there. It's getting interesting now. So we'll see about taking that. Now his knight's pretty bit. That's a powerful knight. So that trade was not good for us. We're still more developed, and his pieces here aren't developed, so their pieces there not doing anything good. So he's probably wasted a few moves where trying to get this pawn back where he should have developed and castled. Okay, so we're defending and also attacking, because if we're attacking this twice, then we can move the bishop here and then attack the queen and the rook at the same time. So that would have been very powerful, and they call that a skewer as well. Alright, so defending. This is probably a blunder on my part because we could trade. He can trade the bishop now. We're keeping the structure, but now because he's removed the bishop, he's also freed up the defender. So this piece is undefended now. So that was a bad trade for me. Good trade for him. So we can attack here. So we pretty much own this territory around here. So we don't want anyone coming here. And we really want to hold that pawn. Our structure is all based on that pawn. So if he can get that pawn, he can push forward. So now he's doubling up. Now this is a powerful attack. So there's a bit of our opponent's getting a bit of momentum against us. He's putting pressure on here, trying to kick us off the pawn. If we move up here somewhere, he could probably just... We can't go back there now, but he'll start thinking about going here, maybe going here. Just starting... Ideally, he'd want us to go here. Then he could go here. Move his queen down somewhere as well. So if he can move his rook here, get his queen down, it could really rain havoc on us, and we don't want that. So we knew better than that. So all our pieces defended here. We aren't defending this piece now, so he knows we can't take this piece because of the defense. Now his bishop's looking good. His bishop's looking good now, developing. Now we're going to put pressure on the queen so we can attack. And now this is another trade. And now that was a good exchange for me. So this game shows you how many exchanges you can have. And that's what you got to watch. Is just this was terrible for my opponent to take. And now my rook is a beast. And his rook isn't a beast. And I got my knight still, so I got my knight, so we'll see. So he trades, just trying to free up this space, so that's fair enough. So this is an isolated pawn, and it's a strong weakness too. So we control this board, so our piece can't get attacked because these pawns block the bishop. So, and we also attack the dark square bishop as well. So this was a good attack. So he retreats, goes back to my weakness. So lucky I can defend. And now, as soon as if that rook ever moved, I could take here and then push my pawn up to promote. Because towards the end of the game, you want to promote your pawns, especially in the end games. And you want to tie down your opponents too. So if you can, with a dark square bishop, we really want to put our pawns on dark squares and try and control these squares. And really restrict our opponent's bishops. Because in the end game, it's usually a lot more open and the bishops are a lot stronger in the end game, and the knights are a bit weaker. The knights come powerful when it's a closed game. So we're not really worried about this move because he can't go anywhere. We control this square. As long as we control this rank, this rook can't come down and raid havoc on us. So the only thing is we got this square. If we lose this, big trouble. If we lose this, big trouble. So there's 2 points in our board that are crucial. So now he's trying to push forward. So we're going to push forward as well. We want to keep less room and just try and control all these squares and just get away from these pawns. We'll not get away from the pawns, but get their strength away. And this is a big blunder on his part. So look, if you look here, he can move here, move here. He's got a bit of squares, move around, but within this, and then that, all of a sudden, look at that bishop, can't move here even. He's just made he can't even go there. This square's taken as well, so all he's got's pretty much there. And he's got that square as well. So that could be an ideal spot for him, but we could come down here. So he's got an ideal square for there to defend the pawn, which frees up the rook. Could be an idea. So he retreats. And now if you just look, it's just my knight is free to do anything. So he's attacking here at the moment, but you watch now. So I can move my king. So my idea is the king to move here and defend that pawn. Then my knight doesn't have to defend that square or this square. Because these two, well 3 actually, are weak. But they can't attack this pawn. So we've got our defender here. And now our knight can go around the board and just be an absolute monster. We've got this rook just can't get away from that pawn because we'll just go down here and take and then promote. But this bishop can't go anywhere. Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Okay, and he realised that then. And then what we did, this was his last final moves, just to try and push and open up the board. But what he did, he exchanged again, and we're blocking his king, so his king can't escape, and his bishop, well, he's got this square now, but he's got this square now, but he can't move anywhere else on the board, so it's pretty terrible. So we can move here, check, but really it's just there's nothing he can do. And we can just move our knight around. Ooh. We can move our knight here, take here. And there's nothing you can do. It's a light square as well. And if the rook comes here, then we can come down here and kill. So yeah, and that's the end of the video. So just a good example of just how just having equal pieces but having bad trades can change the game for you and just restrict your play, like your pieces as well with the board. So okay, it's just tactical. Yeah, all right, thanks for the video and I'll see you later. Bye.